It's Lights Camera Jackson. Welcome to LCJ Live. Today is Sunday, October the 16th, 2022, middle of October. Thank you for being here on the show today. We have a lot to get to. We've got box office results, new movies I've seen, previews, some coverage of last night's Wheel of Fortune Live. I've got The Rock here with me. Yes, Black Adam is coming out in just a few days. How will it do in theaters? Also, my pal Lightning McQueen, Cars on the Road. You know Cars on the Road is on Disney Plus and Toys R at McDonald's. I had to pick up a McQueen. Wow, lot to get to. If you're watching live right now on YouTube, thank you. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube Live. Appreciate it. And let's get to the results of Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends opened to $41.3 million this weekend. That is about $8 million lower than last year's Halloween Kills, which was about 20-something million less than what the Halloween 2018 reboot opened to, about 67 or 76 million back in 2018. So, clearly a decline. However, I was surprised, I think many people were surprised, that Halloween Ends was also debuting simultaneously on Peacock. And according to early results, one of the biggest, if not the biggest debut ever for a movie or a show on Peacock for Halloween Ends. So a lot of people said, I'm staying home, I'm watching this. Some people went to the theater, but not quite as much as last time and certainly the previous time. But Halloween Ends still at 41.3, believe it or not, the biggest open for a movie since Nope from Jordan Peele in July. That's right, July 22 to 24 was the open for Nope. And this Halloween Ends, 41.3, the biggest open since then. That was also a Universal movie, Nope. More Universal milestones this weekend. So I guess the studio is happy. I guess Peacock's happy. They're sort of happy. It's a #1 movie for a Halloween end of a trilogy, end of a franchise. But 41.3, it's lower than I think a lot of people thought. For sure. By the way, congratulations to the Phillies. Moving on. All right. Halloween Ends with 41.3. And then Smile, 12.4 million. It still did all right. Even with the competition of Halloween, Smile still made more than I think everybody expected for a third weekend. 12.4 million. It's at 71.2. Needs about 10.5 million to pass Scream to become Paramount's 4th biggest movie of the year. I think it's going to get there. And again, nobody could have predicted this. Nobody could have predicted that it would open to 23, have an $18 million second weekend, have a $12 million third weekend, make more money than Jackass Forever, make more money than Scream it's going to do. Smile, one of the big surprises in a banner year for Paramount. In fact, it's such a banner year that now officially this is the biggest top 5 gross year ever for Paramount in the 21st century. You'd have to go back. I'd have to go back and look at Titanic and 1997 and the other movies that Paramount had in 1997. Does it add up to more? May not. But certainly the biggest year ever, it seems like, for Paramount. When you talk about Smile, Lost City, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Scream, and of course, Top Gun Maverick, which returned to the top 10 this weekend. Wow. 20th appearance. It was in 11th last weekend. It's back in the top 10, another $685,000. It's at $715.8 million. As I just posted, you would think that even it's still in the top 10, maybe Paramount would want to re-release it in theaters over Thanksgiving. But you've got a Navy fighter pilot movie called Devotion from Sony, also with Glenn Powell, who's in Top Gun Maverick, that's coming out over Thanksgiving that I think is going to prevent Paramount from doing something like that. But if they were able to do it, I think people would still go and it would return to the top 10 over Thanksgiving. This is what a phenomenon. So Top Gun returns to the top 10. Also now, third place, Lyle Lyle Crocodile, 7.4 million. It made 11.5 last weekend, so not a huge drop, about 35%. It's at 22.8 after 10, 11 days. And as we talked about the comparisons with Clifford the Big Red Dog last week, Clifford had about a $22 million open for the first 6 days. Took about 10, 11 for Lyle to get to that number. So interesting there. Sony also has The Woman King, 3.7 million, just shy of $60 million for that. Amsterdam dropped from 6.5 to 2.9 this weekend. It's at 12 million for 20th Century. Don't Worry, Darling. I saw Harry Styles, and I had some friends at the Harry Styles concert in Chicago last night. His film Don't Worry, Darling added 2.2 million this weekend. It's at 42.4 for Warner Brothers. Currently, It's the fifth biggest movie Warner Brothers has had this year. Out of only 5 movies they released. And guess what? Black Adam, coming out in a few days, is the last movie Warner Brothers is releasing in theaters this year. So that means they will only have 6 films in theaters. Last year they had 17. Now all of those were simultaneous debuts on HBO Max. Plus you had Wonder Woman that opened 6 days prior on Christmas Day of 2020. So technically you had 18 movies from Warner Brothers in theaters last year. This year, 6. Don't worry, darling, we'll be knocked out of the top 5 because I truly believe Black Adam is going to make more than $42.4 million next weekend. Liza Friedman. Hey, Jackson, thank you so much. Appreciate you watching LCJ Live right now. So don't worry, darling, we'll last a few more days in Warner Brothers top 5 for the year, and then Black Adam will take over that spot. We'll get into my predictions of Black Adam and more coming up here. I've seen a couple movies that come out this week as well. Barbarian, 1.4 million. Horror fans still went to see Barbarian this weekend. It's up to 39 million. They also went to see Terrifier 2, which made more money this weekend than last weekend. 850,000, it's at 2.3 million. Also, Bros with another 920,000. It's at just under 11 million bucks for Universal. Congratulations to Universal on Minions: The Rise of Gru. Now, we were seeing the money climb up and up and up carefully, and guess what? They decided we're going to keep this in theaters to have it become the biggest Despicable Me franchise movie ever, not adjusted for inflation. It's at 368.3 million now. It added about 400,000 this weekend. So congratulations to Minions. Needs just a little bit more to get past 368.4, which is what The Secret Life of Pets made in 2016, and then it will become Illumination's biggest movie ever. I think Universal's going to keep it in enough theaters long enough for it to do that, possibly in the middle of this week. They have to be looking at that saying, we got to make this the #1 Illumination movie now. We're so close. If they pull it now, what a mistake. Speaking of pulling movies and a mistake, a film you notice is not in the top 10 this weekend, even though it still was doing fairly well, is the re-release of Avatar, which 20th Century and Disney pulled after the third weekend. It was up to 24/7. I thought it was going to make another couple million this weekend, maybe even make a run at 30 million total. For some reason, they thought to take it away. I disagree with that decision, but it is what it is. In a limited release, Tar added 360,000. It's at 585. Till opened in 16 theaters, did very well, 241,000. Triangle of Sadness added 337,000. It's at 657. So there you go. That's your box office results. Black Adam will certainly be #1 this coming weekend. It has to be. And they're talking about 60 million, 70 million. I think it can do that. DC needs a hit. Warner Brothers needs a hit. It's got to do well. It's got to do well, and hopefully it's a fun movie. I'll be seeing it this week, so we'll see how Black Adam with The Rock does. It's been a passion project of his for a long time. I think more than anything, the DC fans are curious to know how Black Adam is. Its competition is Ticket to Paradise, a film that has already made more than $72 million overseas over the last several weeks, which is very good for a rom-com, especially during these times. But you've got the star power of George Clooney and Julia Roberts, and that is opening from Universal this weekend. I think it's going to do okay. The international results have been good. The question is, do people here in North America really want to see a new George Clooney, Julia Roberts rom-com? That also stars Caitlin Dever, who's in Rosalind right now on Hulu. I guess it's going to do more than 20 million, maybe. Maybe a little less. Maybe it'll do better with older folks going on Tuesday matinees. It's a tough call. It's a tough call exactly how well it's going to do. Now, the last Halloween movie, last year, Halloween Kills, opened to 49, dropped to 14 and change. 41, maybe it drops to 10? And then Ticket to Paradise can open at #2. That could be an interesting battle depending on how big the Halloween drop is. Michelle the Oreo Head, we need more good rom-coms. I hope this one is good. It's Clooney and Julia Roberts. Now, it does look kind of goofy. I mean, you see the trailer and he's getting bit in the crotch by a dolphin and they're playing beer pong and doing wacky dancing. I still hope it's funny. It's Ole Parker directing it, I believe. He did Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Yes. And I think was also part of the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel films, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did both. He wrote the first Marigold, and he wrote the second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel movie. So, yeah, I enjoyed the second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel more than the first. I enjoyed the second Mamma Mia movie more than the first. So, I hope Ticket to Paradise is fun. I hope it's a good time. That is out this weekend. I think it has a chance of being the number 2 movie. And they sort of knew going in, if you go up against Black Adam, you're gonna open at least number 2, but we'll see if it does well. Also out this week is The School for Good and Evil, which is on Netflix, Charlize Theron movie from Paul Feig. Raymond and Ray, which I have seen. Ewan McGregor, Ethan Hawke. It's on Apple. It's a dramedy. I like the drama more than the comedy. I don't think the performances are stellar. I think the movie's got problems right up to the end. I had the chance to see this at the Woodstock Film Festival, met director Rodrigo Garcia, and I like the vision, I like the concept, the execution, the humor is a little wacky. The serious themes it brings up are legitimate and complex and interesting, but the movie feels too easy. It feels too convenient. It feels too simple, the way it explores everything. So those are the problems I have with Raymond and Ray. It's on Apple TV Plus starting Friday. Wendell and Wild is in select theaters and then goes to Netflix next Friday, October 28th. It's Henry Selick's new stop-motion animated movie. And Wednesday, you'll get an Animation Scoop Q&A and new LCJ Q&A podcast episode with the legendary Henry Selick, who did Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach, and now Wendell and Wild. So you'll be able to check that out. Also, new LCJ Q&A tomorrow, the 250th episode with the hosts of the Avatar Braving the Elements podcast from Nickelodeon. And you can listen to the Bat Wheels podcast now. That's at lcj.podbean.com. I want to quickly mention some Animation Scoop Q&As. You can read with the puppet maker of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio movie. I chatted with her, Georgina Haynes. Also, Velma, Mindy Kaling from New York Comic Con. Hulu shows. Tuesday, you'll get a Q&A for the Big City Greens gang from Disney from New York Comic Con. And on Thursday, Oni, Thunder God's Tale, new show premiering Friday on Netflix. Talk with the makers of that. It was a good conversation. That'll be Thursday. One other new movie that comes out this week that I have seen is The Banshees of Inisherin. This is Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson from Martin McDonagh, who did In Bruges with the two of them, also did 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Here's what I will say about The Banshees of Inisherin. It is a unique movie. It is a unique experience. It is unlike anything I have seen in a while. Not right away, but there are certain story developments that make it become that. And a couple of moments that are genuinely shocking. The performances are good. Do I think they're locks to be nominated? I don't know. I mean, award season is so wacky, and certain groups voting for certain people and depending on who's got the momentum, and there's so much involved in all of that. But it is, it's a bold movie. It's a risky movie. I don't know if it's going to be well received by audiences. It just depends on how much you get sucked into this, how much you buy into it, how much you believe it, how much you want to believe it, and how much you get immersed in it. I didn't love it. I've been thinking about it for several days because I watched it on Monday, and it's still in my mind a little bit. I didn't love it, but I think some people will appreciate it, appreciate the uniqueness of it. Some people will find it to be a turnoff. We'll see what happens. It's out in just a handful of theaters, New York and LA this weekend. The Banshees of Inisherin. I want to thank Searchlight for allowing me to see the film early, and other Critics' Choice members and everyone voting. Searchlight has a couple other movies coming out for award season later this year, The Menu and Empire of Light. Yeah, it's an interesting film. It's one people are going to talk about, think about. Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell has the best scene in the movie, and it's a speech scene, and it is the best one. If he gets nominated, it will be for that particular one, about midway to 60% through. I said for Martin McDonagh 5 years ago when I walked out of 3 Billboards and did not love that movie by any means. Ooh, I like Banshees more than 3 Billboards. But I walked out and I thought, gosh, the best scene in the movie is Frances McDormand with the deer. If she gets nominated and she wins, it's Frances McDormand with the deer. And what did they play on Oscar night as her clip? Frances McDormand with the deer. So if Colin Farrell gets nominated, I don't know if he'll win. We'll see how things go. But if he gets nominated, it's going to be the scene that I am talking about 60% through. It's a speech that he gives to Brendan Gleeson's character. That's the scene he gets nominated for. We'll see what happens. That's The Banshees of Inisherin. New Too Fast, Two Films podcast episode is coming at you very soon at toofast2films.com. Mike Sargent has seen Till, and I'm going to be seeing it hopefully in a couple weeks when it goes nationwide. But he has seen Till, and he thought it was very good. and just getting back the feed here of LCJ Live. He has seen it. He liked it very much. He talks about it. I talk about Rosalind. That's on the latest Too Fast, Two Films episode. We both also review Amsterdam. And we have a good time talking about Amsterdam because we both seen it and we both have some thoughts on it. So you're going to want to listen to that at toofast2films.com very soon for that episode of the Too Fast, Two Films podcast. I want to thank everybody for these 250 episodes of the LCJ Q&A podcast, hitting that milestone tomorrow. Really appreciate everybody listening to the 250. Also, I want to thank everybody who has already pre-ordered My Very Rocky Christmas, and the books arrived the other day. Awesome. You still can through October 31st. If you pre-order, you get a signed copy from me and illustrator Rebecca Rem. So go to shoptbmbooks.com, pre-order your copy of My Very Rocky Christmas, and you'll get a signed copy from me and Rebecca. Now through October 31st. The book is officially out November 1, but if you want a signed copy, you got to pre-order now through October 31. All right, when we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, we will talk about a lot. Film Columbia, the big film festival, starts this Friday. I'm going to be seeing movies there over the next 10 days, starting Friday. And we're going to talk about Film Columbia a little more. They've got, oh my God, they've got a huge lineup with movies with Bill Nighy, Hugh Jackman, Timothée Chalamet, Brendan Fraser, Elizabeth Banks. They've got women talking. Anne Hathaway's film, Armageddon Time. Anthony Hopkins is in 2 movies. Tilda Swinton's in a movie. They've got the Robert Downey Sr. movie, which I have seen, which is very good. They've got a huge lineup. We'll talk more about that next Sunday. We'll see how Black Adam does. We'll see how Ticket to Paradise does. And we'll preview what's coming out for Halloween weekend. You can watch one in a while at home. Pray for the Devil is going to theaters. I still believe it's going to theaters from Lionsgate. And we'll get into more of that on our Halloween weekend show, preview show for what will be in Halloween weekend. And then we'll be back here on the 30th as well for another episode before Halloween. So it's midway through October. We got a lot more to go. And hopefully the Phillies and the Eagles have a lot more to go as well. Fly Eagles fly later today. Still undefeated. Yes. As always, follow me on Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at Lacey Jackson. Oh, I got to talk about Wheel of Fortune Live. I almost forgot. Let me say a couple things about Wheel of Fortune Live because I've got some stuff on my Instagram. But I will say this. It was a fun show last night. Clay Aiken is the host. The audience was so into it. And you could tell they wanted to shout out some answers. And a few people did in the back. And some letters for the contestants to call. But security was there all around, hoping to prevent that. It was a fun atmosphere. Everybody wanted to be there. The contestants on stage had a good time. It was exciting. It was dramatic. It was intense. It was serious but fun. Clay Aiken had a good time. Yeah, it was quite an experience. So if Wheel of Fortune Live is coming near you, it's quite a time. It was fun. And I had a yellow wristband. And they played a game during it where the yellow section won. So I got to win a keychain, which was awesome. An exclusive Wheel of Fortune Live keychain. So that was a good time. If you want to see some of the other things, go to Instagram. I'll have a blog piece as well coming at you soon. And we'll have more Q&As and podcast episodes and all of that coming at you very soon. Thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. The website is lights-camera-jackson.com. I'll be seeing you real soon for another episode of LCJ Live next Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.